So looks like it's about time to start. Welcome everybody to October user group at the Reynolds Company. Today we're going to talk about, kind of give you a preview of Rockwell's Automation Fair, and I'm going to hand it over to Zachary, and Zachary's going to talk about that for a little bit. Oh, come on.
Do you want to do introductions real quick?
Sure.
For those of you I have not met, my name is Zachary Rogan. I am a technical consultant with Rockwell, supporting the Texas and Louisiana Gulf Coast for controllers, I/O networks, software, kind of anything in between all that. I'm relatively new to the team. I've been here for a year.
And my name is David Newt, and I'm with the Reynolds Company. I'm one of 4 automation specialists, and I'll be talking a little bit today as well. And so just around the room.
Yeah, I'm Brian McKeska. I'm another automation specialist with Reynolds Company.
I'm Omar Gomez, automation engineer with Anadarko.
Mike Masterson, automation specialist with Reynolds Company. Justin Ryan, I'm a solution architect in Hardware.
And Joe. And finally,
Joe Molaski, last automation specialist with Reynolds Company.
so anyway, I think that's all the Rockwell. Folks.
Yeah, I think that's all the.
So, Andrew.
I'm Andrew Holmgren, I'm a service specialist. Yeah, we're just looking for Rockwell Reynolds people. Anybody in the witness protection program? Obviously, if you're not in the witness protection program, the guys on the other side of the aisle.
All right, so let's kick this off. Starting with Process Solutions User Group. First off, real quick, is anybody going to Automation Fair this year? Do y'all know when it is? We've got a couple. Perfect. So Automation Fair is going to be the 14th and 15th of November in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And as always, PSUG, the Process Solutions User Group, will be the 2 days right before the 12th and the 13th. I will also be going, so for those of y'all who will be there, I will see y'all there. For those of y'all who don't know or haven't heard of it, PSUG is it's a mixture of hearing from some of our clients who are using our process solutions. It's an overview of what is new and what is coming from the Rockwell Process Organization and our DCS with PAX, as well as training and labs and technical sessions and all the kinds of things you would expect. There is a cost if you are considering registering. There are, I believe, still open seats. I have not heard anything that space is running short as of yet. So if you do want to go, please consider doing that, and you can register through the Rockwell Automation Fair website, which the easiest way to get to it is just Google that phrase. So Automation Fair this year, like I said, will be in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. There's going to be a lot going on. It is less oil and gas centric than it was being here last year. However, still a lot of relevant discussion topics and a lot of, I think, good, useful information, especially around analytics and a lot of the new hardware and software solutions and products we have coming out. So like the slide says, a lot of hands-on labs, a lot of technical sessions. So a good chance for you to get in front of a lot of these new things that you've heard about and maybe haven't had a chance to play with, and to get hands on them and to see how it feels and how it works. AutomationFair.com is the website. There is a Rockwell Events app. So once you're registered to attend, you can then go into the Rockwell, I think it's ROK Events, select Automation Fair, and you can start already building out your schedule for what sessions you want to go into and what industry forums or labs or whatever else it may be. All of those things do fill up, so the earlier you can get in to sign up and schedule for them, the better chance you are to build out the schedule that you want. So the pre-show program, you can find, and it's got a more detailed walkthrough of what are the contents of all the labs, all the classes, all the sessions and forums and everything. There's the ROK Events app, like I said. There is the The bottom piece is just a list of all of our apps. So we have a Rockwell Automation Catalog app. So if you find yourself frequently having to look up part numbers out in the plant floor or away from your PC, Catalog app is like Proposal Works for your phone. So worth a download and keep it on hand just for those moments. A real quick highlight of all the forums. Like I said, oil and gas is not as heavily focused this year. So there will not be a oil and gas proper forum this year. It will be rolled up into the chemical specialty chem forum. So if that's part of your something that you're looking for while you're up there, that's where you'll find oil and gas related information. Otherwise, all these other topics and all these other industries will have their own forums in the schedule, and the more details on who the keynote speakers are and what the topics will be covered, like I said, in the pre-show program. And I do want to highlight the reminder, you do need to register to attend the forums, and that is through the Rockwell Events app. So once you're registered for the show, and this is a part of Automation Fair, not PSO. Once you're registered for Automation Fair, in the app, you can register to join and sit in on one of these forums. Typically, we have a map published of all the different exhibits, of all the different pedestals or topics on display. Some of them have changed names as some of their purpose or some of their trajectory and direction on how we're gonna market or display and think about them has changed. So if there's something that you used to always look for, you look for the big red hanging sign and you beeline straight there first. If it was one of these, just be aware that it has changed to a different name. Just kind of a logistics thing for y'all to navigate the show floor. That doesn't come out great. So you'll get a copy of these slides, like always for attending user group, and not super readable up here on the big screen, but down here, the red bar on the bottom has a number legend that references the map, so you can find out where stuff is if you really want to get into the nitty gritty of routing how you run around the show floor.
And there'll be a lot of Encompass partners there as well. So make sure to check the program to see if any of your Encompass partners that you normally use or that you're interested in might be there as well.
That's a great point. Yeah, so this will be in the slides, and you can zoom in and see the names of the companies there. So if it is like a Cisco or a Panduit or one of the partner companies that Rockwell works with that you find yourself working with a lot, they will be there, as well as, of course, all of our distributor partners who help support Rockwell across really the world. One of the things I want to highlight is at the integrated architecture booth, because this is the integrated architecture kind of centric user group. One of the things we will be showing off is a CompactLogix 5480. We've talked to you all about this before. This is the integrated PC CompactLogix. The 1756 scalable compute will also be shown. That is the ControlLogix form factor of a Windows 10 IoT PC, as well as the VersaView 5400, which is an integrated display PC. So if you've been interested in exploring one of these, what we're calling edge computing applications or edge computing type devices, and you've been interested in finding out how they work, what separates them from a standalone Dell or whoever else manufactured PC, this is a good place to go and investigate that further. It looks like they will be showing some of the custom APIs for the compute module, which is kind of one of its leading marks of what separates it from a traditional PC, is the ability to interface with the device, the ControlLogix via some of the APIs, as well as running a FactoryTalk View SE application. And then the CompactLogix 5480 showcasing the kind of full speed and power of the new quad-core Logix processor. If you haven't had a chance to see any of the L8 models, whether the 5380 or the 5580 processors, if you're still in the L123 or the L7, this will show how much faster it can go, especially in terms of like motion, and SIP safety and SIP promotion over Ethernet type instructions and applications. The innovation zone. So because these are computers, you can do a whole lot more with them than just show basic software or just show, single applications. So at the innovation zone, some of the content we're going to be showing some of our partnership with PTC and ThingWorks as we get into some of the analytics capabilities of these computing devices at the edge. So you will be seeing a lot of that. I don't know if you guys have heard in the news in the past several months, but this year Rockwell has been investing into PTC for a services and solution type software partnership with them. And so that will allow us to expand some of the analytics capabilities that we have by using some of the software that they designed in addition to our own homegrown internal analytics devices as well. Factory Talk Links will have its own booth at the show, and the reason I bring this up is we brought Factory Talk Links kind of informational slides before you guys a month before. If you're not sure, if you're ready to make the switch, if you're not sure exactly how it works or how it's different from RS Links, RS Links is different from Factory Talk Links. This is going to be the place to go and look if you're at the show floor. I recommend stopping by and talking through what all sets it apart and where it's going to be going in the future, and how does it work with the compute modules, and how does it work with traditional PCs over the network. So I know I will be stopping by there.
All right. Thanks, Zachary. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, now we're going to kind of move the presentation into talking about the specific topics or technical topics that will be highlighted at the fair. And so some of these topics we've covered throughout the year. So this may be a little bit of a review, but we also have some updated new products that we'll talk about here today. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask as we go. All the experts are in the room, so this is a good time to ask questions. So the first visualization topic we're going to talk about a little bit today is the thin clients. And so show of hands, anybody who's used thin clients in their applications today? A couple more? Okay, good. The thin client architecture is a really good way of implementing your HMI solutions today, and also not just HMI, but also engineering workstation, just a whole way of approaching a distributed architecture hardware software system. So we're seeing a lot more demand for the thin clients. And so this is our, what we call our single display box. The single display box connects to one monitor. That's why we call it single, but it works directly with Thin Manager. So another show of hands, anybody implemented Thin Manager on their thin clients? About half as much as, okay. So so Thin Manager is a way of deploying the thin clients that makes it a lot easier on your maintenance, your long-term maintenance of your system. So these are all Thin Manager ready. As you can see, the single display port, 2560 by 1600 maximum resolution. That's pretty good. Ideal for the full HD, and we'll talk about going beyond HD. We do have that ability to do that today. But this single system has got 4 USB ports, 0 to 50 degrees C. So it's for industrial applications. And it is available today.
David,
Yeah.
keep in mind with this box, one of the selling points is this is under $1,000, right? It's like
Right.
$950 or something.
Yeah.
And with Thin Manager, you can do virtual screening. So I can take that screen right there and break that into 8 screens and have 8 individual pieces of content delivered to that screen with one device. As long as it's within 2500 by 1600, right? So it's not 4K or anything yet. We have those coming up, but that you can, instead of buying a quad monitor configuration and then a 4 output device, you buy a single output device and then use Thin Manager to make quad screens out of one big monitor.
Right. Okay. Yeah, good point. Thanks. So 4K, we do have a 4K monitor thin client coming out in the 4th quarter this year, so before the end of the year. So that does support the full full 4K. This also is what we call a dual display box, so you can put 2 monitors up to it. So instead of having 4, you could have 8 different applications running at the same time on 2 monitors using the Thin Manager software. So it's a good cost-effective way of looking at a distributed system. And also it's a really nice thin clients are a nice maintenance choice, because instead of having to put PCs out in the field and having to maintain, the PC hardware and the software, these are basically zero maintenance boxes. So Thin Manager stores all that software on a server. You turn it on, it loads all the software, and it runs. It breaks, you plug a new one in, and it plugs right in. There's no maintenance involved in replacing. So it's a really good way to maintain your system. This one's 055C, 24 volt power, industrial ready. Okay, so panel view 5510. This is the sort of the new flagship panel view going forward with Rockwell. Anybody using the 5510 yet? Probably not in this market. The big red letters there, class 1 div 2 is in process right now, so it's not quite ready yet, which is why we haven't really pushed it in this market so much, but that is coming.
Is there an estimated completion on that?
Rockwell guys, any date for that yet? Commit date?
The possible issue?
Yeah.
It's funded right now, so they're working on it right now. It's not like it's a nice to have, right? So that should be within the year.
This year? Or within 8 years?
Within 12 months from now, right? They're going to try to release that at automation next year.
Yeah. So, so the nice thing about this, instead of factory talk and machine edition, this uses designer view, which is a new software, but that's fully integrated with Studio. So going forward, you're going to have tighter integration between the HMI and the Studio 5000. So that's some of the benefits of this that you'll see once we get to see the certs done and everything. So the 5510 is sort of the flagship. The 5310 is a lower cost option. And so that's also available. As you can see, the size range is a little bit smaller. And it's not on there, but this is not a hazardous unit. So this is more of a safe area type of unit, indoor use. But this is more of a cost-effective version. So it's also programmed with the View Designer software. So the panel view plus 7, those are the ones you're probably more familiar with. Rockwell's still adding on to that product line. This product line is not going away, so don't feel that this is going away. It is not. So we've added 9 and 12 units, and this line has the full hazardous certs, conformally coded 7 and 29 to 19 inches. And the full line will be available the first quarter next year with conformal coding. Any questions on the conformal code? Yeah.
Are you going to continue to support the high
So that's in the next couple of slides. So that's the panel view plus 6, and so those do have a finite life.
Is the model you're proposing going to have that same feature functionality? Because
The 5500 is being investigated right now to have a full line hybrid. Right now, hybrid is nice, but it's kind of stinks with 12 inch. So they're trying to make it a line of hybrids rather than 12. So it'll be the 5500 that will target. We actually, just to air some laundry, we actually already started it on 7, and then management came and told it. So they took that money and put it into the 55. So at least it's still there. The money's still there, and it's still going to happen. It's just going to happen on 55.
So 7 never even happened.
in the design.
They're redesigning, so just so you guys know, they're redesigning the 7 right now for new chipsets to they're targeting like 2 years from now to have a new series change to give us another, X amount of years on the 7s. So there's no plan, especially since we're spending money on it right now, there's no plan to get rid of the 7 at the moment. So you can keep buying those and just leave them in place to run all your older applications for quite a while, right? But as you move to 55, that's where all the new features are gonna start getting added. Like PRP, high bright, actual ratings, that kind of stuff, it's gonna go to the 55.
Tag-based alarms. So, okay, stainless steel. So there's the new stainless steel Series B terminals with the stainless steel bezel. That's will be available first quarter 2019. Showing more investment in this product line. So rest assured, it's not going away. So panel view plus 6 discontinuation. So Rockwell is willing to offer an estimated discontinued date of Q3 2020, and that's going to be the 7, 10, 12, and 15. So that does include the hybrid unit.
Nope.
Unit.
Is there going to be?
No, the hybrid will be.
The hybrid's next.
It's in the next slide. The hybrid will be in the 2021 timeframe.
Okay, sorry, I jumped ahead. So these are the standard terms. Yeah, question.
The design studio, would there be a conversion from ME to design studio? Is that automatically available, or is that?
That's probably Rockwell guys.
They're still trying to figure that part out because it's different, right? It's completely different. Yes, and it's also .NET based, right? So there's a lot of change, which is good, because that's the way the world's going, but it's bad that there's not a one-to-one at the moment. So they're trying to figure out if they should give you like 3/4 of a tool, right, that does most of it, and at least gets you started. Do they do a tag database conversion? Because again, we don't have tags, right? We just have pointers. So yeah, they're trying to figure out the best way to make a conversion tool because it's so different.
We had a discussion with the product managers a year ago about that. They flat out asked us, do we need a conversion tool? Everyone said yes. It's pretty said that.
So our feedback,
Legacy migration.
our feedback is yes, we need a tool. So we'll continue to push and at least from the field side, we're still pushing it. So
I think our
they did
intent,
come up with a micro, I mean, if you look at an example, right? They weren't gonna make a micrologics conversion tool until we pushed them. And now they have a micrologics to micro 800 conversion tool. So it's just gonna take time, but the technical difficulty is there's not a like input push button with decimal point. Like, I mean, they're not exactly one-to-one,
It's
right?
just an economics thing. That's all it is, but if there is or isn't, right? You know, I think it's-
So there'll be something. We don't know how cool that something would be.
Thanks, Justin.
we do have a couple of Calendar 5000s here, and we have access to other lab equipment. I think our intentions next year is we'll pick a month and we'll do some on-site training because everyone has seen the software there, that's 5,000 no one's played with it. We'll push more of a hands-on experience next year. So if you guys are interested in it, though, please get with your account manager or one of our technical specialists here, and we can run you some demo equipment to play around with.
And if next year you can't happen to make it to either Automation Fair or Tech Ed, Rayodom should be in Oklahoma, I believe. Yeah, so it's Rockwell Automation on the Move. Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So look for that mid next year, I believe. Ish.
Yes.
Something.
It's also, I don't know.
Okay, so there's 2 dates with the discontinuation. So the hybrid, we get another year out of the hybrid. So 2021 Q3, and also some of the smaller terminals and the logic modules which connect. And so cables, so all communication modules. So remember with these, with the 6s, you may be connected to other types of networks. The 7s are typically just Ethernet communications. So that's we're kind of leaving that world. So we've got all the gateways, we've got all the conversions that we need to help you move out of the 6. I think the biggest, usually what I've heard is the biggest headache is maybe the high brights, and of course that's been asked today already. So, but all the other functionality, we should be able to support you in the 7 or down the road in the 5,000.
And we know none of you are running a County Plus 6 on serial these days. You would never do that, right?
Gateways.
Yeah, and we're favoring you. We can't help that. Right?
Right. So we put this slide up here in case you're at Automation Fair, but also just because we know there's a lot of discussion points around visualization. These are the product managers, and so these are the people that we talk to, that we try to give our voice, our feedback, and we're putting their pictures up on the presentation just in case if you see them walking down the street. Those are the guys that you want to talk to.
Yeah, if you're going to Automation Fair, you know what the children look like. You go find them and say, hello, I'd like to have a word with you about a product line.
Indeed.
We should put the director's picture up first.
One quick question on
Yeah.
the IoT edge solutions. What's the OS that runs inside of that?
The Think clients.
There's a Debian Linux and there's a Windows 10 IoT. But I talked to back up one, Chris Mason on the top there. I talked to him last night for another customer. The cheapest option, if you want to just reformat it with your own Linux build, you could buy the Windows 10 VersaView non-display box and just rebuild that host. So that was his suggestion if you wanted your own Linux build. So we have Debian and then Windows 10 IoT.
Okay, so switching gears a little bit, talk a little bit about software. We don't have too many slides here. There is a performance patch that is now available. So the gradient shading on the performance boxes had some display load time issues. That's been resolved. I don't know if that was anything you guys were concerned about, but that is available. And again, you guys, everyone will get access to this presentation, so you don't have to write anything down here. You'll have that available to you after the presentation today. Thin Manager update. So what are we going to talk? So Thin Manager, it's been a Rockwell product for a couple of years now. So you'll see, although a lot of the Thin Manager has kind of been standing on its own, in some respects. One thing we can't update you on is now there are technical articles about Thin Manager that have rolled up now into the Rockwell Automation knowledge base. So you go to the knowledge base search, you should be able to find a lot of these helpful Thin Manager options on there now, and that wasn't available before. So
What's the OS platform for Thin Manager from?
it's I don't know. The Thin Manager OS,
Right, Windows. Thin Manager runs on Windows platforms.
Yeah, so the server runs on Windows. What's nice from a security aspect, what's nice is you could take just the actual application you want and publish that. You don't have to publish the desktop, any of that other stuff. There's no start menu, no hidden escape, nothing, right? You can just push the application itself to the screen and lock them in.
And then from the thin clients themselves, they have USB ports on them, and those can be locked out as well to only receive 14 devices, not just storage devices. To further separate where the data is stored and where the important things is from the viewing terminal.
One last question. How much RAM does it have? Because that's the big component of being able to catch the data from the manager. And speed, yeah, on the thin client stuff, the thin client is 68, 38.
I don't know if the presentation had that spec on there. No,
They're basically publishing how many ports and how much resolution.
yeah.
And it's a terabyte backbone on the radio.
It's a gig.
Yeah.
Everything we're doing now, we're trying to push to gig. Because we want 1 gig network on there.
Is there a fiber option?
No, so you have, right now you go fiber to our Stratus switches
Yeah.
and then copper to your panel devices. But you're seeing, you don't have any, like, we already did plus 5,000, right? last couple months ago.
We've got that at the end today. We've got a little bit of on.
So you'll see some of the IO platforms are also going SSP, so that you can natively put a fiber solution into one of the IO racks and not have to go to a converter.
Yeah, going back to your USB and mouse and all, what manages that? That hardware in or app that runs software that runs?
Thin Manager manages that device. So you'll see these are called Thin Manager enabled. And so there's 0 clients, so there's no OS. They just boot with Pixie and basically say, I'm here, who owns me? Right, so the Thin Manager comes along, gives it the profile, and one of the settings is the USB port setting. So you can take an out-of-the-box device, plug it in, and get 2 different sets of profiles based upon where you plug it in and what profile you load. But it could tell you that pointing devices only, or pointing devices and storage. So,
Okay, one last little note on Thin Manager. Those of you that have used it probably understand this, but just so you know, so the support for Thin Manager is still not fully integrated with the Rockwell Tech Connect. So if you do run Thin Manager, that's a separate support contract. So just a public service announcement, so we don't get stumbled on that. So I think there are some plans, but it's not integrated today. So just if you went and bought it today, and that's why we would also quote you an extra support agreement that you wouldn't normally see with other Rockwell software. So, and I'm going to hand it off. Mike.
Got it. You mean the other one? All right, I get to talk a little bit about 5,000. Some of the changes they've done for version 32 that's coming out. Part of
this is V5. View Designer.
Oh, View Designer.
Did I get that to you?
Yeah, this is not my order.
I have my script. You didn't have
So we jumped from a whopping 1 controller with panel view with 5,000
quadruple or size.
to 4. All right, hold back the applause. So we're almost getting to be like a real HMI with that product. Part of it comes back to my speech about it. None of you in here, very few of you have actually played around with the hardware, the software, and I've only done a couple labs with it. We will make a marketing push on it to get people used to it, so they're aware of it's out there and just how to program it. Justin, this was already part of my slide. Sorry. Is there anything we really need to talk about?
I got ninjas.
Yeah.
So this is just just like the panel view world is sitting at 10 right now, they're getting the other panel view now. This is the version 5 release. So V4 that you saw just recently came out with more login information. They added more capacity to the unit with displays. Now V5 is coming out. They're adding they're up to 4 controllers now in a system. They have, so the big thing is the Logix tag-based alarm. So if you remember from the 31 deck we did with you guys a couple months ago, when V31 came out, they introduced Logix tag-based alarms. So in the controller, I can just right-click on a tag and say alarm this point, and then build an alarm off of that point. I can also build an alarm into a structure or an AOI. And every time I instantiate that structure or AOI, I get the alarm with it. All right, so I can build alarms into a structure and then push it out. So this is the unit that will now support Logix tag-based alarm. So guess which one doesn't? Okay, the Penalty Plus 7 doesn't support that. So this is where all the new technology is going into. All right, so this is just continuing to add on to that. Bindable caption. Well, yeah, some of these are pop-ups, aren't they? Brian, are those exposed? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there we
So
go.
bindable captions. So now in your little pop-up window, you can actually make that a variable. So I can change the name on the fly based upon what's in that tag or that string. Okay. Keep going. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Those are some of the major points, right? But that's just the continuation of that product being, maturing. I mean, we went through the same thing, right? When Panel View Plus came out, you remember the old black plastic panel views, the Panel View Classic? Now also it got called Classic. So we have great hair.
Now,
So, right, so the black plastic panel views, right, they got replaced with the panel view plus gray plastic, right, so that was the only there, you can kind of tell the difference. And for the first 4 versions, you couldn't upload them. You literally couldn't upload your program, right? So it takes them a couple of releases to like get all these features plugged in there. So this is just, you're seeing V5 is now something where we'd actually, be willing to show it to you and talk about it. Whereas before we've kind of hidden it behind our code and not really said much about it, right? So now it's getting to the maturity level where we like it. So V5 is the latest one you'll see out.
When is that?
They're releasing it this, is it end of the year? Or is it already out? Imminent. Something bad. The disease is imminent. But it's,
It could be bad depending on how long
Right.
it might be.
it's supposed to be releasing with Automation Fair, so that's like they want to get all those things out on November 1st.
Okay, so now this is where I thought we were starting on Studio 5000 version 32 is coming out. Big question there. We brought out extended nav. The tag-based alarms we addressed with this video are the View 5000, the function blocks, View Designer. This is sort of a recap. We've got more controllers we can support. We're up to 4 now. Again, logic space alarm. But some of the new things we have are connected system simulation tools. We have an API, or they call it an FPI, which we'll address on another slide. And better coordination for those who are using ePlan when they're doing their drawings. Okay, let's talk about the Compact Logix 5480. This is our PC-based controller. First of all, let me tell you, it's not classic.
Let's say it's Intel-based controller.
Intel-based.
It's not a PC controller.
Intel-based controller. Currently, when it's out right now, it is a Microsoft operating system on it. They are still working on the Linux version of it. All right, just looking for a heads up. The issues with this controller, if I was to say it was had any issues, unless they changed it, it's not class 1 div 2 and it won't be class 1 div 2. And it requires a UPS that attaches it, unless they change the power requirements. We actually played around with this controller a couple of years ago. We got to see it. And that was one of the things. It had a huge fan on the bottom of it. And there was an actual UPS power supply that connected.
There are good things to this controller too.
There are good things. Well, as we told the guy who was doing the training,
The car only has 3 tires, 1 brake, and a headlight, but
we added new LEDs to it.
So this is the fight against the players in the market that have a dual PLC and PC solution, right? So basically, they took an Intel chip. Half the cores on the chip are dedicated to the Logix OS. Half the cores on the chip are dedicated to a Windows OS, and eventually a Linux OS. So they're completely separate memory, but they can talk to each other. They talk to each other via the front board.
Yeah.
Right, but you can run software now at the unit, so you can literally just take an HMI or a display, plug it into the bottom, and you've got an HMI sitting right there at the unit. But the Intel spec is not nearly as awesome as our ICE chip, and so we have to put fans and all this other good stuff on it to make it survive.
When we first saw the product, we're in the industrial world, especially in Houston being a different market. When we saw the UPS and the fan and what the class 1 did too, my counterparts from this area, we just sort of rolled our eyes at it. We know there's applications for it, robotics, lots of high-speed type stuff. We didn't see it in our process world. Things changed though.
Yeah, they're trying to get a fanless version now. That's the next gen.
Did they last time?
So I don't know. So the class 1 div 2 is tough for some of those off-the-shelf components if we don't make them, which is why we have to make everything.
That's why, really, if you come in a class 1 situation, you should probably take a strong, hard look at the PC card for the control logic.
Yeah.
That's probably the route to go. And that's probably the majority of our customers in our market would probably PC card.
The compute module.
Compute module.
Is the Logix platform on that one, or the PLC platform, is it code based, or did you guys home grow it? That's the one question I keep getting about that.
The Logix OS?
Yeah, so like the actual PLC portion, it's running the PLC code, is it code based? Did you guys utilize that, because that cost any of those guys, or is it homegrown?
No, it's a Logix port to Intel.
Okay,
Yeah, that's, so part of what's taking so long is Intel lied to us and said that the memory wouldn't be corrupted across the chip. And of course, Windows has a lovely feature of corrupting memory, right? And so when we tested that, we were like, well, that's not true, because we just saw it, right? So then also we delayed the release. So this was supposed to be out in March. But when we tested it internally, we jammed a bunch of crazy variables into the memory and found that it leaked across. So we're like, okay, that can't happen. Because our promise to our customer base was you could blue screen Windows all day long and Logix would keep on turning, right? That was the promise. So that's why we delayed it. So yeah, that's it. So when we made the L8, we redid the compiler for the control Logix, and so part of that allowed us to port it over to things like Intel. We'd already tried to use Intel like 3 times in the last 20 years, and we keep failing because they keep changing the chip so fast. Because Intel changes their chip like every 5 to 6 years, regardless of how many we promise we'll buy. They just change it. So now we're on the ICE 3 chip, which is our own design, and we're going to stay with that for a while.
We talked about there is a new simulation interface that is with V32. It gives us an API, which I guess they now call FMI, to create the link for, just what we needed, another acronym for it. But that is supposed to be able to aid with some of the simulation packages out there. And big thing that I've run into lately is we're trying to kill RS Links Classic slowly, still not going away, and move everything to Factory Talk Links Gateway, which is our OPC UA driver now. The limitation on it, and actually I've started quoting this a lot now. So a lot of the basic functionality of Links Classic is now moving to the Links Gateway. The gateway is still going to be needed for a lot of applications, so that will not be going away, especially if you're using older systems, still have PLC files out there in it.
Well, I mean, so I'm just going to apologize as the company representative for our marketing department. We can't name things to save their lives, right? If you owned a cat and a dog, it'd be called like something else that we were charged with. So RS Links Classic, right, is a 32-bit application. It's not going to have any future, right? So we're moving this into Links Gateway, and by moving it into this Factory Talk Links, we add OPC UA. We add a lot more security features. We add the redundant COM paths, which is finally have that. And they work, so you can walk up to a system during FAT, pull the cable out, and comms goes the other way, right? Which is like, it took us 20 years, we got that. So that's a very good product for us to have. Now moving forward, the gateway function. So does anybody know what RS Links Classic Gateway did? Remember what that does? For a bonus cookie, anybody? So if I had 2 computers, let's say this computer was the only computer in the plant that had a control net card in it, right? Because those are few and far between now. But I can have my laptop at my desk, install Links Gateway over here, and I could go from my RS Links to that RS Links, and then go out and control that to the plant. So that's what RS Links Classic Gateway is. It turns this box into a Links Gateway to publish its drivers to other Links installations. Okay, so you can leave that in the facility. You can be remote, and as long as you can VPN or get onto that box, you're golden, right? So that today, that functionality is staying in Links Classic Gateway. The OPC stuff, which is single node and OEM, those are moving into what you see, the arrows are standard and distributed. Okay, and that's just single node is standard, OEM and gateway, which is where I can have multiple boxes is distributed, right? Same exact concept. I don't think we have it on this slide. The only reason for having professional on there is there's no tag limit on the OPC, so it's an unlimited tag, and we have the new data gateway. All right, so I don't think we covered that in this slide. Data gateway is a brand new feature of FactoryTalk Links, where you guys know what an OPC bridge is. You heard of an OPC bridge where I can take OPC tags from over here and OPC data over here and cross-link them? That's what our data bridge does. Okay, so it's kind of giving you a built-in data bridge. So I can say, take this data out of that PLC and stick it into that PLC, and take that data from that PLC and stick it in that PLC. It's like messaging kind of, but through the PC, right? So you're not having to manage message instructions, you're managing it through the data bridge, and you get status and all this good stuff. So that's what's in the professional package. So that's kind of why everything's moving that direction, is so we can standardize on one package in the middle there.
Now, one thing, if we're trying to move from single node OEM to basic standard or distributed, want to make you aware you're not stuck with that software. We can step forward it or migrate it to FactoryTalk Links Gateway. If it's more of a like for like, I don't think there's actually even cost. You just need to get with your sales rep and we can do that, have that done.
So the question came up, does Links Gateway still have a free light version for programming interface?
No, not yet. Yeah,
Not yet.
I asked that and I got a not yet. That was all I got.
So it's coming.
That's all I got was not yet. I got like an eyebrow raise, that was it, so. I can't imagine we have 20 years of a free tool and then change it, so. Somehow there will be a free version of that.
Justin Ryan said that.
Right. I don't have a picture of the car.
So, okay, so we're going to pass the baton back. So a couple of quick slides here just to remind you. We released Plant KX 4.5 a couple months ago. So that's out there. This is sort of a marketing slide, but they've kind of added some functionality. There's more integration with Thin Manager, more productivity, protecting stuff, et cetera. What we want to show you though, it's a little bit, it's okay. I guess you can see it here. Okay. This is a kind of a graphical representation of what a typical system would look like. And so I can see it better if I turn around and look this way. This was in some of our internal training that we did as a specialist, and also the Rockwell folks have done. We thought it was valuable for you to serve to you guys and to talk about it a little bit today. So what we did in our training was all these white boxes here were blank, and so we got this as an exercise and said, and the instructor told us, okay, sit down and let's map the protocols that are involved in a Rockwell system. And so you start down here at the PLC pack level. So you got your Logix controllers, and then the next level we have your data servers. So we talked about Links, so just now FactoryTalk Links. Again, this is just the newer marketing names for stuff. So yeah, so I think everybody knows. Yeah, we've got SIP protocol down here. We come up here with FactoryTalk Links, and we talk SIP. But then sometimes we get up here. At least for me, I'm relatively new. It kind of gets gray, and it's like, well, how do we do that? How does Links really work? How does FactoryTalk View SE work, and what are the protocols involved? So this is kind of an exercise, and it kind of introduces us to some newer software concepts and newer things that Rockwell's doing. So Rockwell has this services platform 3.0. So that's sort of the glue between the Links and the higher level software from Rockwell. He's also added support for OPC UA. So that's in addition to the OPC DA, unified architecture is now supported within the Rockwell world, or the FactoryTalk Services world, and using the newer versions of FactoryTalk View SE and Historian, et cetera. The services platform is something that gets installed with the system, so it's not anything you have to worry about necessarily. But this gives you an idea of how this goes. So you've got live data coming up to this layer here. The other thing that's kind of interesting on this diagram is if you kind of draw a line up here, everything to the left is all Rockwell stuff. So if you've got Rockwell software, you've got Rockwell historian, database, controllers, that's all you need to worry about. So when you get into third-party stuff or even or legacy RS-U32 stuff, then you have to start thinking about, well, do I need a Linux gateway? Do I need redundancy here? Or if I've got third-party hardware, if I'm bringing in data from OPC UA down at this level, what do I have to do? Well, with factory stock services, you can talk directly to those controllers now without having to go through the gateway. If you've got some third-party, HMI software, you still need to use that gateway. So and if anybody else wants to add more to this document, you can, but we thought this would be something that maybe would trigger some questions too from the group if you guys have any questions or need some further understanding of how some of this goes together. Questions, comments?
I saw a lot of solution architects that didn't know this, so you guys should have at least some questions.
As far as the application layer is concerned, is that something that is that accessible, or is that just basically a transfer meeting in the environment?
This one?
The room layer there.
So that's the Factory Talk Services platform. So it's enabling any Factory Talk branded thing to talk to another Factory Talk branded thing. So it's providing, so Links is providing what's called live data. Live data is now available across the platform. So anything with the word Factory Talk in it can now see that data and get it and manipulate it and get it. Right, so it's Factory Talk Historian, Factory Talk View, Factory Talk Blog, right? All those things can see now anything listed as live data. But if they go outside of the Factory Talk world, now we can expose it as OPC UA or OPC DA to the rest of the world.
So is the licensing model for the previous slide on the tag management basically at that layer or at the higher layer?
So the licensing is right here. So go back one, David, or
Back to the.
wherever that, however it's building, yeah, there you go. So, So see right here, it says 1,000 tags local. So that would be on the same PC, like, so let's look at a Honeywell DCS, right? This is an example. They have an app node. Okay, so I would install a basic on the app node, which would give a local connection to their app node to our live data. Now you want that because you want live data going from their PC to our PC or our network, because that's TCP, right? No DCOM shenanigans that we have to mess with, right? Let's just stay away from DCOM as much as you can, please. Then you can go to 5,000 tags, still local. Then you can jump to 32,000 tags, and you also gain the ability to do network. Now, network means I can install the server. So go back now.
Yeah.
So I can install server on that box, right? I can install server there, but I can also have it suck up this KEP server data and feed it as well. So because I can plug KEP server and any other OPC I want into my Factory Talk Services platform, I can expose everything under the hood via that one connector and go out with it.
That's the data binder, right?
Yeah, well, that's data gateway, the data bridge is a different animal. So, yeah, so this, that's been a forever feature, right? So you can take anybody's OPC client in the marketplace, KEP server, MatrixCon, whomever, right? Who's the other, AutoSol, right? If you're doing upstream. So all those applications can plug into Factory Talk Services platform because we can attach to an OPC server. Now I can take that entire data field and expose it via OPC via either single or duplex connections, right? So you can do redundant connections. This application up here, though, just needs to be able to say node A, node B, which any DCS we're plugging into or our Factory Talk system, right? You can plug into both. So yeah, this is what you're licensing, is how much data spits out of the top of this. Data Bridge is just a feature that comes with Professional and allows you to take, for example, data from this OPC server and shove it in here, or take it from there and shove it in there, right? It's kind of going across the application. Otherwise, you have to buy like Kepler's OPC Bridge or one of these other applications, right?
The price of the Factory Talk Links Gateway is about the same as Factory Talk Links Classic Gateway. They're right there at the same price point.
So plant PAX system, when we talk about the plant server architecture, that's the redundant connectivity servers you have there are essentially, you're showing them
Down here, yeah.
those are licensed under one license that covers this, right? Or that's
Yeah, these are
separate?
actually free. So links data collectors are free. But it's the server that you buy, either you buy the number of displays you want right here, or you can do redundancy. So the licensing on this page, you buy screens here, clients, what is that? You buy points,
Historian.
a number of historian points. This is included with the license, and then this is whatever, a number of tags you want to expose.
So strategically, you're appealing at, hey, we can match all your data and graphics display without, you have to buy extra tags, you buy our graphic display and buy one. Two.
Right, you buy, so there's a bundle right now where you can buy an unlimited server with 10 clients for $15,000. List price. So for $15,000 list, I can get this and 10 clients, even if I don't need 10, what the hell to buy it? Because so a server with 10 clients with buying it as individual part numbers is $45,000. So if there's any non-math majors in there, that's a better deal, right, to buy the bundle at $15,000.
Is it unlimited server, 16 grand by itself?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's actually the power of bundling, right? So they, that bundle, it's just a no-brainer now, right, to get the bundle. So they have that bundle, they also have a 15 or 25?
25.
25.
So
And
if any of us quotes you unlimited server, not the bundle package, feel free to call us names.
and eventually there will be another bundle that adds on top of that the same number of thin clients.
Yeah, for Thin Manager?
Yes.
Yeah, so they're trying to, they like the bundles, they're just trying to be a little bit careful with the bundles, so they don't go bundle crazy and make all the catalog numbers ridiculous, right? So, because we already have a couple. So.
So any other question on this? This is a really nice diagram to have. Print it out 11 by 17, hanging up on your desk, et cetera, et cetera. So it's,
Next to your picture of the Bahamas.
there you go. Yeah, the blue and the green make it work pretty well. So I'm gonna hand this to somebody.
Oh, if you can just, sorry, one more thing that I learned it, so when I was at my hot training, so, where is it? Where's the connector made? So it's from Factory Talk Links Gateway to OPC UA. So you'll see, in our vernacular, right, we call it a, it's not a shortcut. It is a shortcut. What's the other name? Topic. So in OPC, they have topics, but because we're better than OPC, we call them shortcuts. That's clearly better. Just have to stay with me. So OPC UA, it's called a connector, which you can put multiple clients under that connector. Okay, so just because it's called a connector, it's not one-to-one. It's one to many. Okay, so I plug that one connector in, and I get every single OPC UA asset underneath it. Okay.
So does that mean your tag is just an asset connection? Because a data stream could be considered every one of those parameters.
Yeah, like they're all exposed, right? So as soon as I connect that OPC UA source for UA. And again, you want UA because between here and here, so say this is, well, even ours, right? Say this is our box. For whatever reason, you do OPC to our own box, right? This connection from here to here is DCOM. Right, that's a DCOM connection, meaning firewall issues, password naming, all that baloney you gotta do with DCOM to make it play nicely. This OPC UA to here is TCP. So I can put it on one port and just open up one port on the firewall, right, and let it go crazy, right? But I don't have to play around with DCOM. So if anybody's wasted half of your day troubleshooting DCOM, you'll appreciate that ability.
NPX Library of Process Objects version 4.0. Has anybody seen this or played with it yet? A handful, perfect. So this past quarter, we released the new Library of Process Objects 4.0, and then shortly after 4.40.0.1 maintenance release. So if you haven't seen these, or if you have, you will quickly notice from even just looking at the screenshot, these look different even from the version 3.5. We have gone even more of a pure high performance graphics type layout. So the few colors that there were in the previous iteration have been bled out, and it is just every shade of gray that you can imagine, so that when a high performance or that when an anomalous event does happen, you very instantly know that, hey, there's color on my screen. That means something is out of parameter, and therefore it needs to be taken care of. And then the color and the method in which it flashes or blinks or whatever alerts you to the severity of that.
It's not red is not off.
Red is not off. Red is alarm. Correct. Yeah. So, so if we, I don't know if I'll have a picture of it.
Yeah, we had some ISA purists come in and were like, thou shalt not have red. And we're like, all right.
Right, because yeah, if you remember the version 3.5 ones, the interlock was red, the off button or the motor stop was red, and those colors have been changed to dark gray, and then they will go solid black for the interlocks if the interlock is not met, so that you know, hey, something is wrong, but this is not an alarm, it's not a safety scenario, it is a interlock not met. And then ENH has been added as well. So like I said, the color animations have been updated. We've updated a lot of some of the nitty-gritty details of a lot of specific instructions. So if you know you are using, especially with Factory Talk New Machine Edition, a lot of these type of instructions or screens, be aware that they have changed. Resolved anomalies. I'm not going to walk through these because again, you're going to get the slides. If you run into anomalies and you're familiar with these, then this is how we've resolved them. But I don't think it does anybody any good to just read them off the screen.
The point is, we're still working on them, right? So we
Yes. So maintenance releases will keep coming out. One of the things I want to highlight that I didn't have as many pictures as I thought I did. If you download the library of process objects v4.0, within there are sample applications. There's 3 different samples, and there's one just labeled samples application itself. You can run that on an emulator or a spare processor in a lab environment if you have one, and then run it via Factory Talk USC so that you can interact with it. I have been just kind of messing around with it lately, and I have been learning. There are a handful of different symbols, and there's a symbol library. They've kind of been streamlined and modernized so that people who use smartphones and are familiar kind of with those style of buttons and symbols as far as back and settings and gears and all the little icons that we use to determine what a different button might do. Those have been updated and they're shown, as well as some of the new security features as far as log in, log out, and then role-based user or user-based access have as well. Flex 5000 IO. So Flex 5000 IO has been released. The dark green is what we have right now available. What is going to be coming is going to be the SFPs for the Ethernet adapter so that it can be fiber or copper. And then with version 32, some of these new extenders and safety modules will be coming out. And again, by safety, in this instance, I do mean machine safety, so it'll be the red painted ones. Justin, do we have a date on PRP for this yet?
For the Flex?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that's supposed to be like just the first part of the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
With the dip switch.
yeah, if you look right here, and if you have a model and you can see it, there is a dip switch on there right now, a little toggle between DLR and PRP as of right now, because PRP is not yet rolled out with the firmware. It is not enabled, but as it releases here shortly. You will then be able to switch between parallel redundancy protocol, PRP, or DLR, depending on your network architecture, and depending on how you want to do your redundant media. If you just want to run one wire to it, then DLR can handle that. Is anybody familiar with IO-Link? Have y'all heard much about this? IO-Link applies a little bit more in the manufacturing space. I see a handful have. So IO-Link is an open standard. It is not something that we have created. It is an open standard for communication between sensing devices and between kind of the field level. It's a way for these devices to save their configurations and communicate that a little bit more than just whatever their on-off or whatever their normal standard 24-volt signal is. It would be analogous or similar to kind of the HART capacity, but in a digital type environment. So think of how HART is able to send extra data along the same couple wires. IO-Link is really similar. The way it's structured is in you do need an IO-Link master IO card, which we currently have right now only in the on-machine IP67 form factor with, I want to say, M4 connectors. And then IO-Link Master can then go out in their IO-Link hubs and you bring your IO-Link in, and then all that data can go up to the controller. So it's helpful for, there's a device, an automatic device configuration type feature where if the sensor goes down, you can replace it and IO-Link will resend down the configuration to it. Again, a little bit more of a play in a manufacturing or a discrete type space, but there are sensing devices all over the place, and so this may be something to consider if there's some sensing going on that you'd like to grab some extra data from.
So what is the cord on that thing? Is that a four conductor cord? The yellow line?
I believe so, yeah.
You said M4.
Yeah.
But is that power and signal coming over there? Or is it just signal?
I believe it's power signal. I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure that's what I remember. The best part is, so IO-Link, the best part about, or one of it, and I guess I glossed over this, if you look at a lot of the sensing devices, Rockwell has been already pretty deeply invested in this. The majority of our sensors are already IO-Link enabled. So if you see this little up-down arrow IO-Link symbol on any device, that means it's already ready to go for IO-Link, and it just needs to be configured for it. Yeah.
Can this be used with a safety controller, or will it degrade the SIP?
So with a machine safety type controller, so we're talking about category levels or performance levels as opposed to SIL. With a machine safety, there is a guard link, which is a similar topology or similar type sub network almost, if you would, for machine safety sensing devices. This right now is just for standard devices, and it just pulls the data back in. And then how you use the data is up to you. So hopefully that answers the question.
How do you do the variables that you're reading that are at a higher frequency range? Are you reading those through a set of parameters that are readily available in the program?
I believe it's however you're configuring the sensor is through that, and then I believe the IO-Link Master IO card.
This is like an asset diagnostic value per head.
Yes.
So
It's a tag. Yeah, so you're getting, I mean, this is essentially kind of like HART, but for digital.
If I just use Aussie, it's very, very similar to that.
Exactly. That's the best. This is the competitor to that, right?
Yeah.
We didn't make this either. It's just this is the horse we picked to ride, right? So
Yeah, and
that gives you, it's a superimposed signal on top of the digital line. So you get the diagnostics back, like on proxies and things, you can tell that it's near and far versus just made, right? So you can actually tell proximity on proxy. And then there's other diagnostics, but they show up as tags in the system. So that's as far as how the information is available to your question, it all comes up in tags. Now, Yep, I was hoping somebody would say they'd used it so I could ask you some questions, because when I used it in a lab environment, I felt like there was a lot of config files you had to get. So think of like the bad old days of DeviceNet, like the really early days of DeviceNet, where they didn't have the files embedded and stuff, right? So you had to go to the internet and find these things. That, to me, this seems like they're kind of at that sort of beginning stage. So if you're an early adopter of this, just be aware that you got to get all those IO definition files today and have them on a USB stick or something. So now what we did, we got smart and started embedding our files onto our devices. So when you connect the device to a network, it has its own config file embedded and can just give it to you, right? So you can write inside links, you can right click in links and say upload EDS today, and you can grab that file right off the device. So they'll get there eventually, but today it's you gotta have the files.
So yeah, if you have some digital type stuff on a front end or a back end or somewhere within your facility, worth looking into if you do need a little bit high resolution data, more than just, part present or not present types of things. Kinetics 5700, do we have any servo users in here? We have Joe, myself, me. So these past, this and the IO really do lean more towards the manufacturing side. I just wanted to make a couple highlights in case you do come across a servo application here soon. The 5700 is our new servo amplifier. We have done a lot of work to reduce the amount of size that it takes up. So for the amount of power and the amount of control you can get over the servo motor, it has shrunk down quite a bit. Integrated safety is a big thing, especially as you have these highly tuned moving parts. So servos typically run cutters or run some kind of gantry or some kind of very fine-tuned spinning application. And as you can imagine, a thing like that has a lot of inertia and a lot of mechanical physical dangers that presents. And so to have SIP safety over Ethernet from one of our guard logic controllers in order to move this thing to either a safe speed or catch it and turn everything off and de-energize the system. This has a lot more functionality to do that. And then some of the tuning on this has dramatically improved as auto-tune functions have been rolled out and more fleshed out. So the short things to think about this, if you do run into a servo application, the 5700 is smaller, so it will fit into a smaller footprint. The less wiring, if you look at a 5500 or an older, the encoder and the motor leads were in separate, and you had to run two trunks down to the motor. In this one, they are combined, but we've done a lot of testing to make sure that they're shielded in such a way that a lot of people are worried about induced noise into an encoder, causing either a loss of signal or a misrepresentation of encoder pulses. And we've done a lot of work to make sure that with the single cable, it's really easy to install and it's still functional. And then with the active front end, there is a regenerative ability to all the expended energy that you're not using or you can recapture from the mechanical energy, you can put back into the grid. Last thing is the Rockwell YouTube page. It is 2018 and a lot of cool stuff is on YouTube. So including Rockwell. So now we are putting all kinds of overviews or highlights, or we're getting to doing some walkthroughs and some educational type stuff on Factory Dog View and a lot of some of the, hey, here's a 4-minute video on how to configure something real quick. And so go to the Rockwell YouTube, like and subscribe, all that fun stuff. It's worth checking out. And I believe that was the last piece that we had. A reminder, go to the Automation Fair website, and if you were able to make it out, Automation Fair this year is going to be in Philadelphia. If not, Automation Fair 2019 will be in Chicago, Illinois, which is just a little bit closer, still in our time zone. So hopefully y'all will be able to make plans for one of those two. And that is all we have. Thank you so much.